me see, we on? All right, cool. Hey, what's up, y'all? And welcome to the 24th episode of Trippin with Theobold. I'm your host, Andre Theobold. I go by AT. I go by Dre-Theo. I go by Dre. I go by Driggity. And I probably have more nicknames yet to come. But without further ado, welcome to the show. Now, for all my new listeners or my new subs, the reason the show is called Trippin with Theobold is because I be tripping literally and figuratively. All right. When I was younger, I grew up with a speech impediment. I still kind of have it, you know. So I literally trip over my words, you know. So I don't believe in doing edits and retakes and all that stuff. So I just go right through it. But whenever I have a little hiccup or whenever I stumble over a word, I just say, "Come on, Dre," and I call it out and I move on. Also, I trip figuratively, meaning I trip figuratively in thought. You know, like I ask a lot of crazy questions. I have my own opinions on things, and I'm not really afraid of those things. Hence the name Trippin with Theobold, right? So, welcome to the show. Right now, I'm at Eric Smedley number of subscribers. Okay, if you don't know already, I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. And Eric Smedley was a safety for the Bills back like in the late 90s, early 2000s, and he wore the number 40. That's the number of subs I have right now. And I'm trying to get to Reggie Gilliam number of subs. Right, Reggie Gilliam is the current fullback or a current fullback for the Bills right now. And he wears number 41. So see what I'm doing? 40 to 41. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You know what I'm saying? Tell a friend to tell a friend. You know what I'm saying? Kermit the Frog, the comment section. I don't hold any inappropriate comments. So y'all trolls, y'all can say whatever you want to say. I'll address it or I won't. I'm an open book. You know what I mean? So we are almost at the 2-minute mark. So I can almost talk somewhat free, you know, because as we know on YouTube, they got this algorithm where if you like use foul language or start saying stuff within the first like 2 minutes of your video, they knock your video down the pile and then you don't get no views, right? So I'm a little beyond the 2-minute mark, but I'm just gonna keep it safe. But I can almost talk almost free as I want to talk. But let's go ahead and get into it. So it's eggnog season. Yay. So when I was a young kid, I wasn't really a fan of eggnog like that. You know what I mean? Like it just sounded nasty, you know? Like it just looked nasty. Like it just didn't really sound appealing, right? And my dad would always drink eggnog during the holiday season, man, and just drink it. And I'm like, why does he like this stuff, man? He'd be blowing up the house, you know, farting and stuff. I'm like, why does he like this eggnog so much? So last year, around this time of year, I had my cousin, and he put me on to the family tradition of punch and creamer. I said it wrong. I said punch and creamer. It's a West Indian drink, you know what I'm saying? It's called punch and creamer. Or they have all these different names for it. But basically it's the West Indian version of an eggnog, you know. My cousin made it. And he was talking about it, but I didn't pay any mind. And one day we're sitting down watching the game and he was like, "Hey man, you want a beer?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then when he went to the fridge, he was like, "Oh, hold up, I forgot. I just made a batch of punch and creamer. You want some?" I was like, whatever. I took a sip. And I was like, man, where have you been my whole life? You know what I'm saying? So he made me a couple bottles. And I took some back home to Maryland. I was afraid of being able to transport my little personal bottles back, but they made it back. And during the holiday season, man, I just sat on the couch, watched ESPN, and I was sipping on punch and creamer. And it hit me. I'm like, that's why my pop liked eggnog, man, because it's a good holiday drink. It relaxes you. It's like it's like alcoholic melted ice cream. You know what I mean? And yeah, man, good times, man. So shout out to my cousin, shout out to my family for putting me onto this punch and creamer. This isn't punch and creamer. This is a new recipe that I tried to make on my own. You know, 'cause that's what I learned too, right? Is when I was back home last year. Once I ran out of my cousin's punch and creamer, I went to this other. I went to like a generic like wine outlet or like a Bevmo or whatever, and I found me an eggnog. And the eggnog's pretty good, you know. So I got it the day before Christmas, and they had like aisles of this stuff. It was like just boxes on every end cap, you know. So I went there right when they were closing on Christmas Eve, and I got me a bottle. I took it home. I'm like, man, this is pretty good. I came back the day after Christmas because they were closed on Christmas, and they hit me with the bullshit that we sold out. I'm like, how y'all motherfuckers sell out of all this eggnog this quick? I'm like, man, I know y'all got it in the back. So I ended up in this predicament where, you know, I was just trying different eggnogs and different things, and they were all eggnog isn't good eggnog, man. Like when you start mixing too many alcohols, like brandy and Tanqueray, and just when you start mixing everything in there, it's just not good, you know. So what I said for this year, what I'm going to do is I'm going to learn to make my own eggnog. So this is my own recipe that I found online, you know. And it's not bad, but I think I found the recipe for punch and creamer, and I'm gonna make some this Sunday when all the rest of my ingredients come in. So anywho, just wanted to share that. Just wanted to share that with y'all. You know, that's my thing now, right? Holiday season is cookies and punch and creamer. Yeah, because I used to make. So my thing is, right, I make, like, if y'all don't know me, I make cookies, right? That's what I do in the holiday season, and I make 3 cookies. I make M&M party cookies, I make sugar cookies, and I make oatmeal cookies. Right. So my M&M party cookies, I'm gonna do a couple of batches. Like one batch I'm gonna do with the holiday mint M&Ms. I'm gonna do one with the regular traditional milk chocolate M&Ms, and I'm going to do another batch with a mixture of the two. And I may get some of the Andes mints and sprinkle those in there as well. I'm playing around with those, right? But that's what I'm doing for one set of cookies. Then I'm gonna do another where it's like a sugar cookie that I make. You know, I make three different doughs. Like one is red, one is green, one is white, right? With the red, I add the peppermint extract, and with the green, I add the mint extract, and then with the white, I think it's just vanilla. But I mix all those. I basically make 3 separate doughs. Then I grab the 3 pieces of each color, put the sugar on it, smash it down, bake it. But my oatmeal cookies, my oatmeal raisin cookies, can't nobody fuck with my oatmeal raisin cookies, man. Like, I'm not bragging. This is not me talking, right? This is from when I worked at my job, like 2 jobs ago. I was in the holiday spirit. I made some oatmeal raisin cookies. I figured out the secret how to make them real chewy. Brought them in, and they were like, "Yo, man, you need to bring some more." Like, I had everyone just asking me, "Yo, man, when you gonna bring some more cookies, man? When you gonna bring some more of them cookies in?" Just asking me. So, you know, well, I don't work there no more, so they ain't gonna get them shits. But I got my I'm gonna make my 3 cookies, man, and that's what I do. But I had to add the eggnog to my repertoire because that sets it off, man. Just eggnog, Christmas lights, ESPN, college football, college hoops, NBA, NFL. I'm right at home. I'm turning into an old man, but so what? Anywho, Shout out to my shadow listeners. I have some listeners that talk to a friend of a friend, and word goes back to me. And I heard one comment from one listener. He said, he was like, "Hey man, your background is like too boring. Like you have no pictures, no nothing, no green screen." So I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna work on it. It's gonna be a little bit more effort, but I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play around with different ideas, right? Like I'll probably go the green screen route, and when I go the green screen route, I'll probably do it by a certain episode, right? I'm gonna play around with it and see how. I'm gonna start playing around with it, right? And the goal is to, when I get to like episode 50 of this, I want to be able to have like something unique that I do with my background, so y'all don't see this boring shit, just walls and shit, right? Like this joint, you know what my room looks like? I just thought about it. Right? I'm such a nerd, man. But you remember Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, when they went to was it Boba Fett or Jango Fett? They went to one of the Fett's compound in the little quarters. Yeah, I look like I'm a clone, or I'm in a clone room, or this is a clone apartment, or whatever you want to call it. But anywho, that's that. So I'm gonna work on upgrading, because this is what this is about. This is about, like, one thing I like about this podcast thing is I look at it like Iron Man, right? Like it's all about the evolution, and I want people to see the evolution, right? Like I don't want to get to episode 50 and still be looking like this, Like by the time I get to episode 50, I want my shit to look like some kind of production, I got the sound right, I'm getting the JPEGs right and all the clip art right. So, we're gonna build, and we're gonna build slow, 'cause that's what we do, right? Rome wasn't built in a day, right? As they said. So anywho, what else we got, man? Yeah, man. So this past week, like my speech has been real jittery, man. I've been like, I don't know why. Well, I know why. I think I know why. Like right now, I'm fine. Right now, I'm flowing, But I don't know. It's weird, man. Like I was around some people that I met. Maybe I didn't expect to see them, and I just was like, struggling. Like every word was like it. Had my mask on, luckily, so they couldn't see, but they could hear probably all the abruption, all the harsh abrupts, all the abrupt stops. But I think I know why. The reason, and I'm gonna get to it when I talk about my comedy bump. So just hold that thought, and we're gonna move on. But I'm human. We getting through it. We working with it. So let's go ahead and get into the sports segment of this joint, man. So first major item of news I want to talk about is this whole Aaron Rodgers versus AB, right? Like I'm not trying to sound like no coon, but I get the game, right? Here's the thing, right? Aaron Rodgers and AB both did like some dishonest shit, I'll just put it out there, right? But there's a difference. And I watched like some of Shannon Sharp's some of Shannon's take on Skip and Shannon, and I looked at it and I was like, yeah, I kind of disagree. Not because I disagree because I get the game and I get the rules, right? So basically, if you're not aware of what happened, a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, or whatever, Aaron Rodgers tested positive for that Colt 45. I'm not going to say the word here because I don't want my video getting flagged too much. But before that, they asked him, because at first he was against getting the jab, and then in a press conference they asked him if he got the jab, and he said, "Yeah, I've been immunized." So he lied to the media. And he did lie because of the verbiage. He said, They asked him, did you get the jab? And he said, yes, I've been immunized. So he answered with the affirmative, meaning that he answered yes to that question. But if he would have just said, I've been immunized, then he wouldn't have lied to the media. But either way, it doesn't matter because the media doesn't matter, right? Like, the media does not matter. You can lie to them dudes all you want. Right? Like, they're not a law governing body, right? I mean, they can probably like mess you up in cancel culture or whatever, but they don't run shit. You know, they do, but they don't. So AB, on the other hand, he lied to the NFL about his status. He tried to get a fake card, from what I understood or from what I gathered. So he's being suspended. So people are like, why is AB being suspended and Aaron Rodgers not? Well, it's real simple, because Aaron Rodgers didn't lie to the NFL. AB lied to the NFL. So with that being said, it's real simple. But here's what I'm gonna go a step further and say the NFL ain't shit. And for those of y'all that know me, y'all know that I like the NFL. Like, I like to watch the game. I like the product, but the organization to me is trash. You know what I'm saying? Like, here it is. The NFL came out and they made it seem as if all their players were gonna get the jab, but then when you read the fine print, that wasn't really what they were doing. But they did that just for media coverage, right? Because the NFL likes to look good in front of the media. That's all they want. They just want to protect the image of the shield. They don't care what goes on behind the shield, as long as the shield doesn't get tarnished, right? So they're always gonna side with trying to look good in the eyes of the public, you know. So they knew that Aaron Rodgers, one of their top players, one of the faces of the NFL, they knew he didn't get the jab, and they kept it quiet and they kept it hush, you know. And even when he said what he said, they didn't come out and jump out and speak because they weren't able to, because of, I guess, HIPAA law and all that stuff. But they knew what was going on, right? So the NFL is, so think about it, right? The NFL is willing to lie to the public, but they don't want to be lied to. That's the fuckery I don't like, you know? They're willing to lie to the media they're willing to put on an image or not say certain things or conceal information to protect their image. But the moment they lie to, it's like, nah, man, you got to pay. So whatever. So that's kind of like my little take on that. I don't want to get too much into that because it's really a waste of my time, like, talking about this shit. It's just, man, we're an advanced country, a super power, right? And we're arguing over trivial shit. But whatever. Anywho, let's get into some DFS talk. All right, because that's what I talk. I talk DFS because I'm all about that money. Because by hook or by crook, I'm gonna get this money. Gotta get this money, man. Gotta get it. So I'm getting a little noisy. Pardon me. But now let's talk about some DFS talk, right? So now I'm at the phase right now where I'm nickel and diming. I'm changing up my strategies, right? Because before I used to do a lot of analysis and submit like one lineup, and then I would do typically I would do like one tier lineup, and then I would do like one classic lineup, and I would do a lot of time doing the analysis, trying to get the right players or whatever. And I'm reversing it now, right? Because I've come to accept that, I'm not some technical data math guru. I mean, I possibly can be, like I said, I built a neural network trying to figure this shit out. Haven't succeeded, but I'm taking another approach. And the approach I'm taking is I'm playing the tiers. I'm doing the tiers for like NBA and NFL. And I'm looking for the 10-cent competitions, right? Because you can submit up to 20 lineups, across any, I think, competition, right? So if you do the math, it's like $2, right? So $2 for 20 lineups. And if you get first place off of 10 cents, you might get like $175 or $200, maybe $100. But I'll take that. I'll take those odds, And then the goal is to, once you hit 100 or build up to 100, then you do the quarter lineups, right? Put in, 20 of those. Build that up. Once you get to a couple hundred, then do the $1 lineups to have a shot at winning 1,000, right? You see where I'm going with it? You just got to keep building. You got to build slow. That's what I'm on right now. So, I did that like so 2 nights ago. Let me talk what happened, right? So, in my NBA tier lineup 2 days ago, I would have won $100. I would have gotten first place, in my lineup off of like 10 cents because the first place winner, the person who got first place, I beat them from tiers 2 all the way through tier 8. I had him beaten all the points. But tier 1, I started Giannis Antetokounmpo. And at the last minute, well, not really, maybe like 45 minutes before the game, he decided he wasn't going to play, or they just like, nah, he's not playing, he out. I was at the gym working out. I'm trying to stay in shape. So I missed out on $100. So Giannis owed me $100. Giannis, if you're listening to me, yeah, we'll talk. But other than that, what else we got going on? So last night I did my same theory. I kind of spread everything out, did my analysis or whatever. Tier 5 and 6 kicked my ass. Tier 5 and 6 kicked my ass. I'm a Wizards fan. I had the game on and everything, and my Wizards decided to let Jared Allen and Garland run a clinic, and both of them motherfuckers put up 50 plus points, right? So my tier was done. I got like half my money back. I think I put in like $10 total across all these different lineups, and I won back like $5.75. So I lost $4.25, but I had a shot at winning like 200, so anywho, that's what I'm doing for now, right? You got to, like I said, you got to build slow. You just got to build the bread up, like if you're constantly putting money in the DraftKings or the FanDuel, you losing, right? But if you growing your money over time without putting money in, you winning. That's the overall objective, is you want to play with other people's money, not your money. So I did my research. I'm doing the same thing for NFL tiers tomorrow. I got my lineups. I still gotta go submit. I gotta submit my variant lineups. But tomorrow, my Theobold prediction it's not even a bold prediction. All you gotta do is look at the data, look at the numbers, do the analysis, look at the scenarios, look at what happened last week, and it's probably gonna be Brady Day tomorrow. That's all I'm gonna say. Tomorrow's probably gonna be Brady Day. But anywho, enough DFS talk. Let's get into the crux of what this episode is about today. All right, so today I'm going to be doing a review on Ghostbusters Afterlife. So the movie's been out now for, about 3 weeks? So if y'all ain't see it, too bad. I'm talking about this shit. So yeah, all spoilers, whatever. If you don't want to listen, go watch it, come back, do whatever. But I think 3 weeks is enough time for people to go out and go see a movie, right? So y'all might not notice, but I'm a diehard Ghostbusters fan, original. Look at my phone. All right, I got the positron collider on there, or the schematic of a positron collider. So Ghostbusters was like the first movie I saw in the theaters that I can remember. My mom took me to see E.T., I think she said the first movie she took me to ever go see was Close Encounters of the Third Kind or Fourth Kind, whatever it was. And then she took me to see E.T. But Ghostbusters is the first movie that I remember seeing in the theaters. And I was like, yo, I was like, when I grow up, I want to be a Ghostbuster. I didn't even know ghosts existed, but I'm like, I want to be that's what I want to do when I grow up, you know? And when I first saw it, I thought Ghostbusters was I thought it was a sci-fi movie, but it's a comedy, right? If you look at the script, it's all comedy. So they've tried to redo Ghostbusters a few times, and every time they do it, I just cringe. I'm like, oh man, don't do it, man, because see, I'm working on my own script. You know what I'm saying? Because like I go back with Ghostbusters, man. Like I got all the toys. To this day, I still got all the toys. I got Ecto 1, I got Ecto 2, I got the proton pack, I got the PKE meter, I got the Geiger meter, I got the Ghostbuster firehouse. I got all that shit, you know? So like Ghostbusters is like real precious to me, man. So when I hear people saying, oh, we're gonna come out and do another movie, and I just, oh man, I should be in that, man. That's my shit. Like, you know, like Ghostbusters is like I take Ghostbusters real personally, you know. So let me go ahead and do my review on Ghostbusters Afterlife. I'm gonna start off with the negatives because I like to end on a positive note. You know, I like to build up. You know, but let's go ahead and get to the destruction. So what I didn't like. To me, I feel like Sony is messing up. I feel like they're still stuck. I feel like they're operating off of their past history. You know, they just want to put out movies. And I think the big thing now is streaming series, right? I'm not sure if Sony has any ties to any like streaming platforms or any streaming networks, but they missed a golden opportunity, man, because Cobra Kai done struck gold. Like, y'all know I like Stranger Things, I love Stranger Things, but I think Cobra Kai, I might give them the nod, man, just off of just the body of work and how they're able to go back and reference old clips and then tie it back in, and then it's just, yeah, amazing. So I think Ghostbusters could have been something they could have just had season after season after season after season answering questions, you know? Like, we all want to know, hey, what happened to Oscar? Remember Ghostbusters 2? Oscar was Dana Barrett's son, right? What happened to the musician? Come on, Dre. What happened to the musician that Dana Barrett was dating? Where is he at? You know, what happened to him? You know? What about Winston's back life? All we knew from Winston was that he showed up for a job and he got a job and that was it. But what did he do in his off time? You know, what was his family like? You know, what's his situation? Same with all the Ghostbusters, you know? Like, where did Slimer come from? You know? Where's Slimer at now? If he's a ghost, he should still be living. Where is he? You know? Just, you know what I'm saying? And I think that with Cobra Kai, that's all Cobra Kai was. They were just answering questions, right? And then they just made it like, I mean, Cobra Kai is just, because I was never a huge Karate Kid fan, but Cobra Kai makes you want to go back and rewatch all the Karate Kids because you remember certain elements and certain scenes because it's so like nostalgic, you know? So I think Ghostbusters really messed up with that. Or they missed the opportunity for that. What else? Movie accuracy. Because you know me, I look at everything. Well, when it comes to Ghostbusters, I look at everything when it comes to Ghostbusters. And the whole positron collider, aka proton pack shit, I saw it in the commercials, I saw it in the ads, and that's what I was looking for. I said they gonna fuck this up. Like when I first saw the first part, I said I know they gonna fuck this up. So if you know anything about Ghostbusters and if you watched any of the movies, you know that for a grown man, like it takes it can take two grown men to put on a proton pack. Like they can put it on by themselves, but it's so heavy and just right. So that's why they have the little and like in Ecto One, they have the little that little tray cart that comes out with all the proton packs on them, and one guy grabs it while the other guy slips his arms through, and then it's right. Grown man strength. So how did this little chick Phoebe go out into a cornfield? First of all, how did she even get the proton pack out there? Two, she put it on like she put it on like she had Lewis Tully strength, and she's like half the size of Lewis Tully. So what they should have done in this situation or in this scenario is they should have done one of two things. One, they should have made it such that some unknown force put the proton pack on her and helped her get it out there, and they could have tied that back to Egon, right? Because he's a spirit at that point, right? Or, and they could have just made like one little reference to it. She was like, "Oh, that's weird. It felt like somebody put the proton pack on me," right? Or two, while she was in the lab that Egon, led her to in the basement, he could have like walked her through how to build her own proton pack that was small enough for her to carry around. You know what I'm saying? So they just fucked that all up. Like that to me, I was like, okay, it wasn't enough to turn me off, but I was like, they didn't really. That's how I know they're not real. I mean, Paul Reitman is the son of Ivan Reitman, who directed the first Ghostbusters, but he should have hit me up on that because I would have coached him through that. Like, but before they released the movie, they should have hit me up, and I would have been like, "Nah, you gotta take that out. You gotta answer this." But they're like, "Man, who are you?" But whatever. I'm just doing my review on the shit. What else did I like about Ghostbusters Afterlife? I didn't like the McDonald's-fication of the movie, right? That's a term I've used, right? McDonald's-fication, right? Like when you think McDonald's, you think fries, you think burger, but everything follows a process, and it follows it around the whole, like the whole process is followed throughout the whole country, right? It's like in the movie about the dude that founded McDonald's. He was like, when he went out to people to go and get their own restaurant, they wanted to make their own burger and shit, but it's like, nah, like we're a chain, right? If we're a chain, we all do things the same way. So I felt like this was a McDonald's vacation to a degree, right? So for example, I'm gonna use the latest Star Wars trilogy as an example, right? So in Star Wars, in the new trilogy, they basically had the big three characters, right? You had in all the trilogies, there's always like the major three characters. There's a love interest, and to this extent, it even was one's a pilot, one has some special power, and one is of royalty of some sort, right? For the most part, loosely speaking. So they did all that in the latest Star Wars trilogy, and at the end of the third movie, these niggas still fighting Palpatine, and Palpatine been dead. So Palpatine basically was a zombie on life support in this latest trilogy. And I'm like, hold on, you made me watch all these three movies just to find out that Palpatine is still behind this shit. And not only that, the chick is Palpatine's granddaughter, right? Or granddaughter. Or is of kin of Palpatine, right? Not a big surprise. It's kind of like it's within the realm of comprehension, And I felt like they did the same with Ghostbusters, right? Because all the characters were like a direct one-to-one mapping of the first Ghostbusters, right? Like Paul Rudd's character was Lewis Tully, right? The mom's character was Dana Barrett, right? they got together and they did the whole Keymaster shit, and they both became dogs. I'm like, oh man, for real, y'all doing the same shit? And then they're still fighting Gozer. They brought Gozer back, right? But they had a different chick play Gozer because Gozer can be any form, right? So they had a chick that resembled. I think that was Olivia Wilde played Gozer in this one, you know. Then podcast basically was Ray Stantz. Phoebe was Egon. Don't know really who Winston really was supposed to be or which character was Peter Venkman. But still, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's just too many ties to the first one. Like, I was looking for something new and a new trajectory, and I didn't really get that. Next thing I didn't like was I feel like they had too many characters, you know. So Finn Wolfhard, who's or Wolford, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right. He's the dude that played Mike in Stranger Things. So everyone thought he was going to be the lead in this movie, but he was a co-star. I don't even think he was he wasn't an extra. He was a co-star, but everyone thought he was going to be the lead because he came from Stranger Things. But I think I knew why he was in the movie. Like, they put him in the movie because they wanted to ride some of that Stranger Things energy into Ghostbusters. And the Stranger Things kind of like, Ghostbusters kind of had that Stranger Things feel to it, you know? But I don't really get the whole point of his character. Like, yeah, he went into the shed, found Ecto-1, but someone else could have found Ecto-1, right? Like, it's like, it wasn't like what was his, as my engineering teacher said back in the day, like, what was his crowning achievement, right? He was trying to get at the chick, and he cleaned up Ecto-1. Okay. Even Podcast, although I like Podcast was a dope character because I felt like he watched the old Dan Aykroyd tapes or Saturday Night Lives, and he actually could do an impression of Dan Aykroyd, but it was like, he basically was kind of like, I guess they brought him in to do the whole Egon Ray Stantz interaction, right? Because that was a pretty classic interaction, right? You have a setup man that does deadpan comedy versus someone that's real quick and real like chipper, you know. So that was it was comical, but it was like, how did that help the movie advance, you know? What else? Yeah, I just think they had way too many characters in there personally. Like, I don't see like why all the characters were needed. The other thing I didn't like about Afterlife was I felt like it was a genre change, you know. Ghostbusters 1 was a comedy, you know. It was adult humor that went over the kid's head, but we laughed at something else. But parents were laughing at this. Like, they were like, yo, did you get that? Like, that's how it was when I was a kid watching it, you know? And it's fun to always go back and watch it because I'm like, yo, I totally missed that. Man. So I feel like, you know, it was a genre. I felt like this was the second best Ghostbusters, right? Because Ghostbusters 1 to me is always going to be, that's in my top 5. Then to me, Afterlife is number 2. Then after that is Ghostbusters 2. And then Answer the Call to me was trash. Like, that joint, I didn't care for that. Like, yeah, that wasn't my movie. I gave it a shot, but no. Dope cast, by the way. Talented actresses and actors, but just the writing behind all of it was just garbage, man. It was bad. But anywho, the final thing I'll say that the final, come on, Dre. The final negative thing I would say about Afterlife is like the soundtrack, man. What happened to the soundtrack, man? Because Ghostbusters 1 had that soundtrack, man. They had that soundtrack, man. Like, you know, and I'm not even talking about the Ghostbusters theme song. Ghostbusters theme song to me is like, is like the fourth best song on the soundtrack, man, of Ghostbusters 1, man. Like, come on, man. Saving the Day by the Alessi brothers, man. That little hook, man, or not even the hook, but just the instrumental to that joint is dope, man. Mick Smiley, I believe it's Magic. That joint is dope, man. Oh, that's the one. I'll get that to my likes. But then you had the Bus Boys, man. Like, so to me, it was like that was like one of the things that made Ghostbusters 1 dope too, is the fact that you had like a lot of up and coming bands or one hit wonders that made a song just for the movie, and people, when they hear the song, they know what it is, but they don't even know who sang it, right? So that's kind of the other thing, So let's get into the positives, right? Enough negatives. I liked the beginning. The beginning of Afterlife was dope. Because I saw what they were doing, and I'm like, yo, this is how it's supposed to be done, right? So basically, Egon, well, the guy Harold Ramis, the dude that played Egon, he died, I think, like in 2011 or 2012. He died a while ago. And they basically wrote his character in so that he dies in the beginning, and they made him a spirit in this one, and he's basically helping out his granddaughter figure out all the clues to what he did to help catch Gozer, right? That's because they never caught Gozer, but that was the whole thing, is they wanted to catch Gozer finally. So to me, that's a dope element to Ghostbusters, because now if any of the remaining cast passes on, they can always include them in the movies in and out, forever, right? So that to me is dope. But what else? I really like the cat and mouse game build up between Egon and Phoebe. Like, that to me was good, cute comedy, like the whole thing with the chess scene. Like, she liked to play chess, and she set up the chessboard. And then Egon's spirit came in, and the way they kept leading up to it was dope, because you knew it was gonna happen, right? Like, first they set up the chessboard, then they zoomed in on it, and then they cut scene, and then she woke up, and then the piece moved, and then she got up and was like, and she made her move, and then it gradually became something different or whatever, and then the build up between when you got to see Egon as a spirit help her out, like, that to me was dope. What else? I like the post credits, because the one thing I didn't like about the post credits was they had Sigourney Weaver's character come in like in the post credits, and I'm sitting there like, if she's casted for it, why isn't she in it? So that to me was kind of weird, and it was like a comical scene. It wasn't anything that helped to it. It wasn't anything that helped advance anything. What else we got? It was dope to see like all four on the same screen at the same time again. Like, I'm not gonna front, I got a little misty eyed, man. When they had the three, Winston, Egon, when they had Winston, Peter, and Ray, and then they had Phoebe, and then they all were trying to shoot Gozer, and then all of a sudden you look to the right, it's Egon in the spirit helping Phoebe out. That shit was dope. Like, that was bravo. That was dope. But also I like the character. I'm not trying to sound moist or nothing like that, but Winston, or the dude that played Winston, Ernie Hudson, he looking good for his age, man. Like, he looks younger now than he did when he played in the original Ghostbusters, and it's like the other three are like, or the other two are looking like really old, Like, Ernie Hudson is looking pretty good, man. Like looking like he's keeping in shape, But I like the character development of Winston. Like, before he was the dude, just looking for a job, but in this one they basically made him like he actually became like I guess like a finance guru, and was like a mogul, and he secretly bought the Ghostbuster firehouse back, and that was interesting. I like that. I like the fact that they're doing something positive with the black man, instead of just looking for a job. But I feel like they kind of missed an opportunity too, at the same token, because when you look at all the Ghostbusters, right, like they all had like their own thing that they brought to the team, like Ray was the heart of the Ghostbusters, Egon was the brains behind the Ghostbusters, Peter Venkman was the comic relief, or the dude with all the witty comments, and Winston was the voice of reason, right? So if you look at the Ghostbusters 1 dialogue, or if you look at the dialogue or the script, Winston is always like the one that's grounded. Like he would react the way that a normal, sane person would react in that situation, But I think where they missed an opportunity at was, Winston was also knowledgeable of the scriptures, right? So if you go back and look at Ghostbusters 1, he knew like what the Bible said about certain things or whatever. So it would have been interesting if he had like the scriptural approach or the scriptural context with respect to what's going on, that would have been a different angle that they could have hit, but excuse me, I got this eggnog is getting to me. Eggy neggy. I don't believe I said that. But anyways, what else about Winston? So I'm like I said, I'm a Ghostbusters fan. I even bought the video game that came out back in, it was like 2009 or 2010 for PS3. It was a first-person shooter game, and you could kind of tell that they didn't know what they wanted to do with Winston, because they had this motherfucker in night school. Like, how you gonna be a Ghostbuster going to night school? So he was basically the whole premise of the game was like you were an intern, and the Ghostbusters are all doing other busy things, and you're trying to like do like their like leg work for them. You're doing all the busy work, or all the work that they would normally do, and what happened was when you would go on missions, they would like kind of like call in to check on you and stuff, So Winston would always be like, he'd always be like if you saw a ghost, he would be like, oh, that's this type of ghost, and oh, I'm reading about that in my night school course right now. And I'm thinking to myself, man, why the fuck are you in night school? So they had him trying to catch up to becoming a scientist, which is cool, but I feel like there were other opportunities. Like he could have went down the spiritual route, or he could have went the scriptural route, but the route they have him in now is dope. He's the money man. He's the one that is basically cutting checks right now, So that was dope. So I'm real interested to see where they're going to take episode 2. Because I feel like there was an ingredient, or the ingredients that made, like, I know the secret formula that made Ghostbusters 1 work. I know I sound arrogant, but I watched it enough times to figure it out, right? And if you pay attention, right, what made Ghostbusters 1 so legendary and so epic was they basically, it was like the perfect mix of horror / fright and comedy, right? It wasn't gore, but it was like, if you think about it, the ghosts in Ghostbusters 1 looked like the ghosts in movies that were in horror movies, right? So things that looked frightening in today's horror movies need to be what the ghosts look like, right? Like, for example, they had Muncher, right? It was this ghost that basically like chewed up metal or whatever, right? The ghost looked too cartoony, you know what I'm saying? But the dogs still look scary somewhat, because that's what those demon dogs kind of look like back in those horror movies in the 80s, you know what I'm saying? So to me, I think they kind of missed the bucket on that, right? So at the end of the post credits, they had the Stay Puft Marshmallow Mini inside of the Ghostbuster trap symbol, and And I think they're gonna do something with the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, right? But to me, it's like, how are you gonna do that without go? If you capture Gozer, how are you gonna do that? You know what I'm saying? And then like, secondly, why would you want to go back down that rabbit hole again? Like, per the movie, Gozer can be whatever it wants to be, right? It's just it can be whatever it wants to be, right? So when it chose the form of the Traveler, like, it came back as Stay Puft Marshmallow Man because that's the first thing that popped into Ray's head, right? Which is comedy. So to me, it's kind of like, why are you going to rehash all that again when it's already been done, So anywho, all in all, I was entertained by Ghostbusters Afterlife. I'm still working on my script. I think my script can be way better, So hopefully I get that together and I can go make a pitch and get some money to get some financial freedom, and maybe I can hopefully be in it, But I have to learn how to create my own thing, right? Like, it's always in life, we see something cool and we want to get on and be a part of it, as opposed to creating our own shit, right? So I'm trying to create my own shit. But one of my things on my bucket list that I want to do is I want to rewrite, like 3 Ghostbusters, as like a trilogy. And I want that to be like I want that to be the creme de la creme of Ghostbusters. You know what I mean? So, anywho, what else we got? I'm at 1 hour. What else am I going to talk about today? Oh yeah. So the reason why I think my speech is kind of like flaring up a little bit is because we talk about this little comedy bump, right? So as y'all know, I have a big date coming up on December 12th, which is in about a week, at the Laugh Factory on Chocolate Sundays. Doing my first impressions. I get a hot 3 minutes, and if I do well, I'll get a grad spot, right? So what you don't realize though is, in order for me to be in the spot that I'm in now, if you guys were to sign up to try to start the path, if you're successful, it could take you anywhere from 4 to 5 years to get to where I'm at. And I'm not bragging. I'm not trying to sound arrogant or whatever, but that's just the wait list. There's a wait list, and then there's a vetting process, and then you have to make it through that vetting process. And once you make it through that vetting process, then you have to get a date to even do what I'm doing. And that's like a year. You can wait like 1 or 2 years for that. So where I'm at right now is I'm in the first impression spot. If I do well, I'll get a graduate spot, and I should get one. If I do well, typically you will get a grad spot within 2 years, 1 or 2 years. It depends on the situation. So anywho, what happened last weekend was I wanted to kind of just get my pattern down, right? So I know, because I have to check in at a certain time. I have to be there at like a certain time. And I wanted to practice going to where I was going to drive to, calling an Uber, seeing how long that would take, and seeing if I could get to the venue and check in by this time, right? So I did all that, and I got there early. And there's another first impressions part of the show that was going up, but one of the people doing first impressions didn't show up. So they asked me, hey, you want to go up? And I was like, okay, but do I get my 12/12 date still? Because I made a flyer for the 12/12 date. I have people coming out to that. So they were like, and it was a little bit of back and forth. They were like, yeah, you can still keep that date. So I went up. I was nervous as hell. I went up, and then when I got up and I got the first laugh out, everything was fun, man. I was having a good time up there, So it was dope, man. I had a good response. I stumbled on 2 of my jokes. Like I didn't stumble, because like I said, I'm very particular about certain things. But I left off a tag on my first joke, Then my second joke, I kind of stumbled into one of the tags. And then my third joke, I kind of like stumbled up in the setup a little bit. But all in all, I got a good reaction. Everyone was like, "You're funny," this, that, and the third. Excuse me. So that was good. So now it's like, how am I going to follow that up? You know, that's the next thing, right? Like, how am I going to follow that up? Am I going to do the exact same set? Am I going to try to change things up? So there's pros and cons because this is like my shot. This is like my real shot, right? So I'm kind of like, you know, if I go out there with all new material, there's a lot of risk. But if I do well, it's like, you know, the pros are I've shown the staff that I have way more material to offer, so I might get booked more, you know. But the con is, it's like I'm burning through more of my old material, which is part of life. You know, you have to, right? You have to grow and outgrow that material at some point. But if I go up there and give them 6 minutes, and I probably have like an hour of material, but if they want to be get up there and do 10, 15, no problem, you know. But getting up there and doing like 3 and being like, because when you do 3 minutes, you have no chance to like get them back. Like, you have to start off ahead, you have to stay ahead, and you can't look back. But when you get up there and you have like 10 to 15 minutes, you know, you can like, you know, you can kind of play around, and then if you lose them a little bit, you can get them back. So I'm kind of going through a little bit. I'm doing, like I said, I'm always doing open mics, going around trying new stuff out. Last night I did a workout room where they gave me like 10 to like 11 minutes, and my original I was told I was going to get 15 minutes, but it's no big deal. If I would have had 15 minutes, I would have done 12 minutes of stuff that I didn't do at the last showcase, and then my last 3 minutes I would have just closed on what I did at Chocolate Sunday's First Impressions. But I figured to myself, I said, I really want to see what I have. I want to see what else I have that can stand on its own. And I have a lot of jokes that can stand on its own. Now, I got to go back and, you know, end of the day, I'm trying to figure it all out. But where I'm trying to get at is I kind of feel like a slight change coming on, right? Like, people are starting to like see me as a comedian. I mean, I know I'm a comedian, but people like that matter are starting to see me as a comedian now, right? Like, they're like, oh, like, it's just a different response. Like, oh, you funny. Like, yeah, I see you hanging around all the time, and, you know, you are like quiet, or you're like, you know, keen and kakan, but man, you got some jokes, you know? So I think because I'm starting to feel that change a little bit, I'm getting like a little nervous, and that's why I think like my speech is starting to fuck up a little bit. But, you know, I'll get it under control, you know, or I'll play it off. But anywho, before I go any further, I'll come on to wrap up anyway. Make sure y'all hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You know what I'm saying? Tell a friend to tell a friend. Yeah, make sure you guys do all that. You know, follow me on all forms of social media at AT. I said at. Follow me at all forms of social media. Follow me on all forms of social media at AT is where it's at. But what do I have? So what do I have coming up? For right now, like I said, I have open mics just scheduled throughout the rest of the weeks, and then I got my big day on 12/12. So, when I say big day, I mean the big day at Laugh Factory, Chocolate Sundays, First Impressions. Like, I gotta let loose, gotta let it go. You know what I'm saying? Or not let it go. I have to just let go, right? Or maybe not let go. I have to. You get the point. Like, this shit matters. So with that being said, like I said, like button, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, tell a friend to tell a friend. Kermit the Frog, the comment section. You know what I'm saying? If you got questions, put them in there. If you got ignorant comments, put them in there. If you want to troll me, put it in there. But with that being said, that's all, folks. I'm out of here. Peace. AT is where it's at on all forms of social media. Follow me. I'm out. Peace.